are saying today. And with that, we start with just hold on a little bit. We are going to start today with Daily Trust. Daily Trust newspaper this morning is leading with just a minute. Daily Trust is leading Daily Trust is leading with state police mere reality amid debate. That is what Daily Trust is reporting this morning. And away from Daily Trust, let's see what Daily Champion is leading with this morning. Daily Champion is leading with June 12th, Nigerian tax INEC on sanctity of the ballots. June 12th, Nigerians tax INEC on sanctity of the ballot. More of that story on page 6 of the newspaper. Then with the rider that says, urge Amupiton to emulate Humfrenwosu's courage, tenacity, truth. FG vows to avert repeat of 1993 election disaster. Sacrifice made for Nigerians' democracy, not justified. CLO is saying that this morning. And above the masthead of the newspaper, you have excitement as reps passes state police B. Excitement as reps pass state police B. You get more of that on the Daily Champion newspaper. And also you have, beside that story, is FG harp on the need to defend Nigerians' democracy. FG Atiku harp on the need to defend Nigerians' democracy. You get more of that on the newspaper, Daily Champion newspaper. And away from Daily Champion, let's look at what Weekend Hope is saying still on democracy. You know, he said Democracy Day 27 years after leaders urged reforms amid insecurity, hardship. That is on page 2 of the newspaper. And Ondo government says peace vital for democratic gains. You know, worst democracy better than military rule. Varsity Dawn is saying that it's a clerics right advocate demand accountability, credible election. And away from that, let's see what New Telegraph is saying this morning. New Telegraph newspaper is reporting with ensure peaceful, that is a Democracy Day, ensure peaceful polls in Ekiti. Osun Tinubu urge INEC security agencies. Democracy Day, ensure peaceful polls in Ekiti. Osun Tinubu urges INEC security agencies. Then another story you will see on the New Telegraph newspaper is DSS military fall attempts to kidnap WACS, that's WAEC candidate in the Southeast. Security sources is saying that. So still reported the case of the story of House, constitutional review, House of Rep passes state police bill, and that is what New Telegraph is reporting this morning. And away from that, we go to the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper is reporting that a thriving democracy is still in search of trust, credible polls, dividend. That is how the Guardian reported this morning. See, a thriving democracy is still in search of trust, credible poll. Say, and then you have other story there, and let's check below the masthead of the newspaper what it says. State police governors bears more responsibility as National Assemblies passes B. State police governors to bear more responsibilities as National Assembly passes B. Beside that story is Tinubu's Hail 27 years of democracy honors June 12 heroes and accounts and amid concerns over governance. And away from that is Army confirms Cameroon troops incursion in Cross River. Army confirms Cameroon troops incursion in Cross River State. That is what we have for you on the Guardian newspaper. And away from that, let's look at what a Nigerian Tribune is leading with this morning. Nigerian Tribune is leading reps vote for state police with the rider that says 289 lawmakers approve bill. Senate defers voting till July. That is Nigerian Tribune newspaper. And again, the echoes of June 12. Again, the echoes of June 12. Then just below the masthead of the newspaper is Democracy Day. Tinubu restates determination to secure Nigerians, with the riders that are also there. And above the masthead is Niger school abduction. Court sentences 5 to 25 years imprisonment. Niger school abduction. Court sentences 5 to 25 years imprisonment. Beside that story is 210 trillion probe. Senate overrules panel, withdraws arrest warrant against Kyari. 210 trillion probe. Senate overrules panel, withdraws arrest warrant against Kyari. That is on page 6 of the newspaper. The knife strikes, destroy terrorist enclave. Key scores in Lake Chad region. That is on page 17 of newspaper. And this morning, let's look at the Nation newspaper this morning. And the Nation's newspaper is leading with Tinubu on Democracy Day. We must unite in terrorism fight. The Nation is leading Tinubu on Democracy Day. We must unite in terrorism fight. With the rider that said President honors General Yaradua's, Williams, Ibokwe, media moguls, activists, and other heroes. Then above the masthead of the newspaper, we have senators, reps vote for state police. Bill contain 18 clauses. You get that on page 2 of the Nation's newspaper. We saw here in South Africa returning Nigerians recount. You get that on page 3 of the Nation's newspaper. Ijo Urobo leaders end protest after meeting Tinubu. 5 get 25-year jail time for Niger school abduction. You get that on page 3 and page 7 of the Nation's newspaper. And lastly, this morning we will look at what the Punch is reporting this morning, and the Punch is leading with state police closer at NICE as NAS defines federal state powers. State police closer as NAS defines federal state power. You get that on page 2 of the newspaper with the rider that says landmark big passes crucial second reading in the Senate. Reps move to replace PSC with Federal Police Service Commission. Other stories in the Punch this morning is Tinubu confirmed national honor on S-Punch MD Tinubu Babatokwe. Others say that is on page 2, and the Southwest governors playing politics with security. Ex-DMI chief Togu is saying that, and that is on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. And it says xenophobia, South Africa repatriates 586 Nigeria before an FG panel uncovers prison feeding scam, pushes 3,000 naira allowance. You get that on page 43 of the newspaper. And just beside the masthead of the newspaper, you have Democracy Day's address. Terror financiers we pay dearly, says Tinubu. Terror Democracy Day address. Terror financiers we pay dearly, says Tinubu. And that is all we have for you this morning from our dailies. Let's go on a short break, and when we come, my guest will be here for us to just have a look at just a discussion, on the leadings, the headlines from across all the newspapers. Don't go away. Stay with us. right, welcome back. Like I told you earlier on that when we come back, we are going to have a discussion as we do it at the press KAFTAN TV, and my guest is here with me, Emeka Opara. You are welcome to the show once again this week. Sorry that I'm dragging you in every now and then for us to discuss topical issues in Nigeria.
It's all right. Good morning, Mr. Ike. Anything to move our country forward is in order.
Yeah, everything is in order. Your quotes, what you gave me last week, I've not actually left me. I say everybody should get their PVC because we have a country to fix. And if you have a bad system, everybody is a victim.
Yes.
And I believe before you leave this morning, you're going to drop another quotable quote for our viewers this morning. But before we go into the analysis, let's just also look at what the Authority newspaper also led this morning. You know, Authority newspaper is also leading with National Assembly members debate state police bill. You know, still on National Assembly members debate state police bill. It seems virtually all the newspapers talked about state police today, apart from a few of president's speech. No, so because he's our president, let's just start from that president's speech before we start talking about the state police bill. You know, the president just spoke with Nigerians. You know that he said he's celebrating 27 years of civilian rule, honored pro-democracy heroes, and urged youth to build the nation. He highlighted security gains and economic reforms in power sector improvements, local government autonomy, infrastructure projects, while reaffirming commitments to democracy, unity, prosperity, and national development. It seems that this has every song that we hear,
we keep hearing out.
For you, is Mr. President democracy's speech is inspiring to you as a Nigerian?
Personally, I don't think it's inspiring because when I listened to that speech, I felt that the president is living in the multiverse because that speech in no way reflects the actualities on ground. Yes, because he mentioned the economy. You and I know, or a vast majority of Nigerians do know, that the economy is not doing well because if an economy is doing well, it reflects directly on the citizens. The citizens are in a better position to tell you if your policies are reflecting very well in their lives. Because right now, as it stands, you understand, Nigerians are poorer today than they were maybe 4 or many years ago. The statistics are there. Although I know that the president, before he became president, told us that maybe statistics will chop. But right now, we're chopping the statistics. Nigerians are really chopping it. You understand? So, because you look at the inflation, you see double-digit inflation, and then the purchasing power of the naira. That means you have, even if you have more money today, your money cannot really buy much. That's why somebody made a statement the other time that the highest denomination of the naira cannot even purchase a loaf of bread. And also to add also that the minimum wage of Nigeria cannot fill a fuel tank. So how is that economy doing well? Then he mentioned about security, you know, deployments of 1,000
forest guard.
How has that reflected on the security? Security has spiked. We still have a lot of Nigerians today living in IDP camps and those in captivity as we speak. I'll still keep saying it, that our children are still in the kidnappers' den, although he mentioned it briefly. And then, so security has not really improved. What we've had is insecurity and all that. So there's nothing inspiring about that speech for me. It's a huge disappointment. And if I should go further to add, apart from disappointment, I would say since elections are coming by next year, the presidential elections specifically, I would like to say that the best way Nigerians can show respect to this present President Tinubu is to vote him out of power. No, it's as simple as that. Because
are you campaigning?
No, okay, this is me just stating my personal opinion, because if he has failed with regards to the economy and also the core of governance, which is security of lives and property, then it means, and this is 3 years, of a 4-year term. So what is left? By next year, January, we'll be talking about election. And this is a man that has always been politicking right from the get-go.
But he says that the economy has improved, that he has, I think on Monday, okay, during the course of the week, they are celebrating increase to our reserve to $50 billion.
Yes, yes.
So the people informing Mr. President are telling him the economy is doing better.
That's why I said most of them they are living in the multiverse, because we Nigerians are the ones feeling the brunt of everything. When there are increments in following, how does that translate to the lives of the ordinary Nigerians who governance are supposed to be meant for? But so don't tell me.
But people are also saying what he's doing in terms of infrastructure. Maybe the money going around the whole country, trying to see that, like if you go to Maraba now, along that Abacha road, you will see the bridge that they are constructing.
Infrastructures.
Yes.
What infrastructures?
If you go to Lokoja road now, you see the road. If you go to Asaba going to Onitsha, you see the road that they are constructing with concrete and all those things. So I think
it's concrete.
Concrete, yes, it's concrete roads. Concrete road. That is what they are constructing.
I'm supposed to celebrate that. Of course, it's normal that a government is supposed to provide infrastructure. And if I should compare the infrastructures we have on ground with, compare them to the amounts of money we have, with the borrowings and the removal of money recovered from subsidy and all the taxes, I don't think both can compare favorably. And we cannot, this is in a civilian regime, or a civilian administration, democracy, we cannot just be judging the success of an administration by virtue of how much infrastructure. What are even the infrastructure? Is it the roads? The military build roads. If you are talking about even the key national infrastructures we have in Nigeria today, they were built by the military. So we cannot say the administration has done so well because they are building road. Well, of course, they are supposed to build road. It's not a favor they are doing to anybody. It's something they are supposed to do. You understand? And if you, like I said, if you have to compare both, I don't even think they've done enough. The legacy projects of this administration that they keep talking about is the coastal road, a road that was awarded without any bidding, no transparency. What is the level of completion of that road?
No drawing. No drawing.
There's no bidding, nothing. It was such a shady kind of contract awarded, and that is the legacy project of this administration. Do you know that the main Onitsha main bridge was built under 2 years? It was built under 2 years, yes? Now we're having an administration that came on board. This is 3 years. And then you're talking about roads or whatever.
Is that Onitsha main bridge is just less than 10 kilometers.
Yes, but
the coastal road is about 700 kilometers.
So what's the rate of completion of that road? Is the huge amount that's expended or quoted for that particular contract. What's the rate of
I think they are still in Lagos.
They are still in Lagos.
Because they've not even crossed to
Ondo. And I should be jumping up and saying that's success. That's not
those
success.
People that are around the area that such infrastructure is happening, they might be contrary to say something contrary to what you are saying.
It's of course that's why maybe you can say we're in a democracy, even though I have my reservation about the whole thing.
What I'm saying that is this: those people living around Kotokarifi, if you're going to Lokoja, they can see the work, down there. Like I mentioned Maraba now. If you go to Maraba, I strongly believe that
Mr. Ike, let me just, sorry for cutting you short. You see,
you are allowed.
Democracy. We are talking about democracy day, yeah?
Yes.
Building a road is not a dividend of democracy.
So what are the dividends of democracy?
They are essential ingredients of a democracy, of a democratic state. One of them, rule of law.
Okay.
Of course, we do not have rule of law as far as I know in this country. We do not have. Rule of law, of course, is equality before the law. As it stands today in Nigeria, there are laws for the ruling class and laws for ordinary Nigerians. Let's not go too much. We all know these things. So let it not be as if I'm making any, more like it's a drop the mic moments for anybody. We all know these things. That there's no rule of law in Nigeria. That's one. Then we talk about the independence of institutions. Yeah? In a democracy, the three arms of government, they function independently: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Yeah. Today, the legislature and the judiciary we do have are subsumed within the executive. They are more like an extension of the executive. And I have facts to prove this. You now know that in the National Assembly of Senator Godswill Akpabio, they now sing the most important song in Nigeria today, which is the On Your Mandates, which has replaced the national anthem of Nigeria in a democracy. And also recall that there was some time ago when the Senate President came out to tell us that they are 100% in agreement with whatever the executive says or does. So they approve anything approvable. You have seen them
should we, in a democracy, must the executive always have conflict with the national assembly?
This talk of independence of institution now leads me to, they exist in order to provide checks and balances. Yes. There's no checks and balances in any in this democracy. There's no there's no check. The legislature we have today, the National Assembly we have today, if we are being honest, provides no checks and balances to the executive, and that's a fact.
And even the executive is not also providing checks on the National Assembly.
So it's more like a family affair. That's why the wife of the president some time ago invited them, the National Assembly, to a tea party, and they were happy for it. After which,
no, but it happens in all that democracy. So you can also invite them. She is also a member.
I made that statement to validate the fact that there is no checks and balances, which is an essential ingredient of a democracy. And of course, also another ingredient is talk about free and fair elections. There's no free and fair election in Nigeria. There's none. Even the election that anyway, maybe we should not go into that, but even the election that brought in the Mr. President, we all know how it went. And then going forward to 2027, we know with the body language of this INEC, the Amukbito-led INEC, Nigerians are not very confident that that institution has what it takes to give us a free and fair election. But of course, like I always say this, that it's really not 100% their responsibility to give us free and fair elections. Nigerians must take it upon themselves to ensure that the elections are free and fair, because building a country is the collective responsibility of everybody. You understand? So these are when you look at all these things and you look at what we have on ground, you cannot tell me that what we have is a democracy. It's not.
Okay. Now let's go to the heroes of democracy. Over the years, the president also paid tribute to the heroes of democracy. Is this name being overflogged? Because this is 27 years. We've been talking about heroes of democracy, MK Abdullah. We've moved 29 to the 12th, and those CLOs that should we continue, or we can only honor them by doing those things that you have talked about,
exactly.
Rule of law, dividend unto the people. Don't you think that the government should do that to honor the heroes of democracy, exactly, rather than paying mild every year we come up with tributes to them?
The usual rhetoric is just to that's what they should do. If democracy should, because if you look at it, 27 years after, what would you say will have really benefited from democracy? Nothing. But I think
ability to speak. Even
during the military regimes, Nigerians were speaking. There was the NADECO, people were speaking.
They were on the run.
They were on the run. And I also tell you that at some points, Justice Chidebere was on the run. He was abducted for doing what? For amplifying, using his platform to amplify the voices of the Nigerian military. So he was abducted until when many Nigerians started speaking up. So we've seen this also, even in a supposed democracy. So let's not say it's just because it's happening in the military. It's still happening now. Most Nigerians...
you can't compare that. You can't, if you just oppose them, you can't compare.
But the fact that it's still happening, which is not supposed to happen, it's not supposed to happen in the first place. But the fact that it still happens still tells you that we have a long way to go.
Okay. Yes. The president urged youth to build democracy. He said he wants them to work, and he wants everybody to... Should the president shift the thing to the youth, or rather the government itself that is implementing the whole policies and everything to make democracy work?
For me, really, I think, you see, even the youths, if you ask me who are the heroes of democracy, it's the youth. The people are the heroes of democracy. Because we've been the one, you know, ensuring that this democracy survives. You understand? So, yes, we have a role to play because in a democracy, another ingredients, if I have to go back there, active citizenry. It is the citizens that will determine, you know, how the democracy survives or not. So when you have a citizen that is passive, you can only get a government that is not accountable to the people. A government that sees it, acts as a law on itself. They make policies without any recourse to the people. So yes, I might agree with him in that regard. The citizens, the youths, not just the youths alone, the citizens generally, that's the people, have a huge role to play. By performing your civic duties, your responsibility, you know, your civic duties, when it's time to vote, like I keep talking about collecting your PVCs. It should not just end with collecting your PVCs. When you collect your PVC, on election day, you make sure you come out, you vote, you know, you vote for the candidates of choice, and you stay there, ensure that these votes are counted. You understand? So, and also very importantly, that citizens should not, the people should never sell their votes for any reason. Because when they purchase these mandates, when they get there, they can only act without, you know, without having any sense of accountability to you, because after all, they bought it. So yes, the youths and the people generally have a huge role to play in ensuring that democracy survives.
The president also talked about, he said about 124,000 fighters and dependents surrendered through Operation Safe Corridor since 2023. 124,000 insurgents surrender. That is huge, don't you think? That is almost army to...
So where are they?
He said they surrender to the government through
they surrender.
Yes, those are the people rehabilitated. And do you think that this is a good approach for Nigerians in order to win the insecurity war?
Are we winning it? When did they surrender? And so
how between 2023 and now?
And now, so they surrendered, and then insecurity is still, you know, the insecurity is still there. It's even going worse because from 2023, 2024, when they surrendered, Nigeria has moved. So from number 6 within that period, so in 2025, they moved from number 6 to number 4 as the most terrorized country in the world. If the Operation Safe Corridor has been a success, I don't think with the number I just given you, moving from number 6 to number 4 as the most terrorized country in the world, that means the Operation Safe Corridor is a failure. So is that not clear?
So it should not be what he should celebrate.
Why should he even be celebrating that? I'm disappointed. He shouldn't be celebrating that because that's a failure.
And he expressed concern about your abductions. Do you think that he should be expressed? But right now, he should lead now, go to the bush and go and look for these children and those people abducted. To at least, even if for him to go to your state, you know, leading from there instead of expressing I'm concerned about what is happening. Do you think that this is the right?
You've answered the question. It's not anyway. I don't think it's even a question in the first place. You've said everything now. Okay. This is more than 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And the children are still in captivity. And we are celebrating democracy. Not only the youths, the children in Oyo, we have children in Borno and several other places. I'm not even aware those that were kidnapped in the Waro community if they've been released. I don't know. And nobody is talking about that. So after a while, I still believe that Nigerians with our very negative move-on culture will soon forget that. I pray we do not forget about these children.
Wow, amen. No, no, definitely they are not going to. Nigerians will not forget about it.
The only way we will not forget is when the president, on whose table the buck stops, does his job by ensuring that the children are released as soon as yesterday. Because it's late already. We're talking about 3 weeks. You are a father yourself. Let's show some empathy. And somebody is coming here to tell us about. He's still making promises. Because as far as I'm concerned, these are promises. Release these children. Release them. It's not too much to ask.
All right. Let's go to the the state police bill, and virtually they voted, and the newspapers are reporting that there will be a little bit more power, more responsibility to governors. Do you think that state police bill is the right way to go now?
Because yes, you want to add something?
Yeah, no.
Okay, so yeah, because the level of insecurity in Nigeria now, I think the state police might just be a way to go. Yeah, it may not be perfect, but I want to be confident and also optimistic that when it comes into from when it becomes functional, becomes operational, we might have one or two things. I think we'll have one or two things to gain from it, even though it might not be 100%, but at least it's a step that might help in curtailing the insecurity at the subnational level. My only fear is that it does not become an instrument of oppression to political opponents at that subnational level. Yes. And we know the last time we talked about this thing.
Yes.
And I also mentioned the fact that it's not going to be like a magic wand to, erase all our insecurity concerns. But the fact that the truth remains that it's a step. Is a step. But if we are going to carry on with the state police with the way we are carrying on with the Nigerian police force at the federal level, I think it might fail, because have they even put into consideration how it will be funded?
Yes, because the states will fund, but I think I think it's going to be that we've not seen the details of the bill. You understand? But I think from what I've gleaned, from reports, our sources on Anonymous or whatever, saying that the police, there will be certain things that the states will do, and the federal too will have control too on each state. But the idea is to just decentralize.
Which is very, very important.
Decentralize. The states will now recruit their own police. They will know their power. Okay, this is a federal case. This is a and with that too, it will also help in terms of intelligence gathering. But do you think that this now will now help? How can they now work harmoniously? Let's Abuja, for example, is the bordering town states around Abuja is Niger, Kaduna, Nasarawa, where Kwara.
Is Kogi there?
Yes, Kogi is there.
Okay, yeah, Kogi.
And I think Kwara too is also bordering it. Yeah, Kogi is Kogi State. Kogi is going to have his own police. Nasarawa is going to have his own police. Kaduna. What if someone commits crimes here and go to the other state? How are they going to? Will this one shoot the other because he's from the state? Also, these are things that we need to know.
I think the people involved, the lawmakers or the people involved in drafting whatever that is going to make its operation, I believe they'll put all this into consideration, because I know it's still just second reading yet.
Yeah, the House of Assembly have passed. I think the Senate is doing second reading.
It's doing second reading. So I believe all these are the things, the factors. They'll factor all this in and see how they'll come out with something that will work for the betterment of Nigeria as a whole. I am just being optimistic.
But Nigerians, another thing that Nigerian factor might also affect this because of the nature of our ethnicity. Probably it might be okay in the Southwest because of the homogeneous, Southwest is just then, but in states like where you have 3, 4, 5 tribes, like Kogi State, for example. I'm not saying that is how it's going to happen, but Kogi State, for example, you have the Igalas, you have the Yorubas, you have the Ibira, and that, with that rivalry, don't you think that is going to come to play in terms of the formation of the state police?
That's if the law bringing it into operation is not solid enough. And if we have a society where rule of law prevails, when people are answerable or if there are consequences for actions, everybody will submit to the law as it stands. So, because Nigeria is not the only country where you have, different tribes here and there. But if the law bringing it into effect, bringing the state police into effect is strong enough to punish anybody that breaks the law or whatever, I don't think that should be a problem.
Yeah, they said part of the law says states must pass their own laws and meet national standard before creating state police. Don't you think that is duplication too? Because already if the federal government has, the state should also do that. That means it's going to also delay.
So the states, because that's how it should be now.
Okay.
The state should be able to, make a law that will be,
that will be okay
for suitable for them, because all states are not the same. So that's the whole essence of it being a state police in the first place.
You say governors will have authority to direct state police on public safety matters.
Yes.
To direct.
That's where I have my fears. To direct. That's so it's giving the giving the governors overwhelming powers.
Yes,
so
the governor has more.
That's where I have my fears.
They might like
because during elections you might see victimization of political opponents using the instrumentalities of the state police. But I pray and I hope that Nigerians will for once, because institutions do not work on their own. It's the people that make institutions work. Laws do not work on their own. It's the people. If we decide to make things work sincerely, they will work. There are no perfect laws anywhere.
Yeah, sure.
You understand? There are no perfect laws anywhere. So if we want things to work, it's as simple as...
He said Nigerian Police Council will serve as the final arbiter in dispute involving governors and the state police commissioners.
That's a brilliant one. I love that.
Okay, that's the Nigerian Police Force. Another one they are having here is federal police may intervene only under specific circumstances, including breakdown of all law and order. That means federal police can still come into your state
at any time.
As any time. If the president don't like you, if the president don't like you or like this your style.
So the real essence of the policing, the state policing, is it not to curtail law, to ensure law and order?
Okay, I give you an example. During when Ngige was kidnapped, Ngige, when he was governor, when he was using his own security network as a private vigilante.
Yes,
and the Anambra State was in total commotion.
Yes.
So I didn't mean there was a police at that time, the state police, let's say Anambra State Police, the governor, since he's the governor, he was the governor at that time, he would have also used the instrumentality of being the governor to do whatever he wants to do. Whereas his opponent has access to the president at federal level.
Yes.
They can use that to come to the state and do whatever they want to do.
Exactly. So that means
that clause
is something to worry about. It's something to worry about because it seems we are not really out of the woods.
Out of the woods.
Let's see how it goes.
Okay. But do you think that this is going to help our intelligence gathering?
It will help. It will help if we want it to help.
If we want it
to help. It's not as if things cannot work in Nigeria. It's the people. It depends on if you make a personal decision to make things work. I'll give you an example. People were talking about the 2023 elections and how it went and all that. It was still the same 2023 elections that somebody in Abia decided to say that this will work. I will ensure that these votes count. And of course it counted. So sometimes it's really, because there are no perfect laws, I will say that if we make a commitment to say that we have a nation to build, you understand, we have a country to build, not just for ourselves, but for posterity. If we value legacy as a people, we make things work, no matter how imperfect the laws are. But that is not to say that we don't need a society or a country where the law holds supreme to every other thing. Because we should not be operating in the rule of thumb. We should be, as a democracy, we should be operating on the rule of law. That's what makes things work.
Okay. Let's go to the public sector. They say 289 MDAs fails the anti-corruption compliance test. 289 MDAs. That is huge, don't you think?
Huge, of course.
200.
And are you surprised?
Is it an ICPC compliance assessment of 357 federal MDAs reveal widespread governance and accountability failures? The report found major gaps in anti-corruption measures, whistleblower protections, financial reporting, procurement compliance, and oversight structure. Additionally, 179 MDAs lack governing boards, while 50 federal agencies are under investigation for procurement and recruitment violations. Wow. That means corruption is still
very much
in Nigeria.
Yes, yes. And I know among the top agencies, government MDAs in these red zones, you talk about the NNPC, of course. That should be the number one.
No,
yes, it should be there. I can also
you want to link it with what happened at the National Assembly yesterday, or because between that?
What else do you want me to link it to? Okay. We're talking about 210 trillion. I don't want to come here on a supposed democracy there and not talk about the mess going on there in the NNPC. Of course, you know, whatever we have as a country today, the NNPC should be the most, because that's what produces whatever. Yes, the economy is built on the pillars of the NNPC. And we're talking about the institution failing anti-corruption test. Of course, with the probe going on in the National Assembly, the 210 trillion naira that is missing, that is yet to be found. Why should I not mention the NNPC? That 210 trillion naira is missing. Well, you know how much 210 trillion naira is.
That could have given a lot of cottage industries.
Apart from cottage industries, I know it can, give us as many coastal roads as possible. That money can build. How much did Dangote use to build the Dangote refinery?
In this is in the purview of the NNPC itself. The NNPC can decide to build the refinery on their own.
They could not. They voted a lot of money to do turnaround maintenance for the existing refineries. They could not, up till now, our refineries that were built years ago, a so-called democracy or civilian administration cannot even revive the refineries to work. And we are looking for 210 trillion naira. 210 trillion naira.
And we can't find it.
We cannot build a refinery. We cannot make the existing ones to work.
And the report says about 80-something% of Nigerian MDAs. Let me get the right figure here. You say about 84.1% fail anti-corruption compliance among all the 300 and something MDAs. 84% failed. That is a failure on its own.
It's a failure.
So is there a structural problem or a systematic problem that 84% of MDAs fail this compliance test?
It's both very structural, systemic. It's the same thing. It has to do with the attitude of the average Nigerian to governance. Yes. So, and even to add to that, I believe even some of the anti-corruption agencies that are making this, that are running this test, the ICPC and the EFCC, whatever, they should be part of these institutions of government that are failing.
Because they are not also...
They are not, because we were all here now when the chairman of EFCC came out to make a bold declaration that if he couldn't capture or whatever, imprison the former governor of Kogi State, he will resign and all that. I speak to you today. Yahya Bello is in line to becoming the next senator representing his constituency.
He's
yes, and he's there. And Ifeanyi Okowa at one point was declared, wanted. You understand, until he moved over to the APC, and all his sins were forgiven. And he's there. He's going to return to the Senate. All things being equal.
But it has not been proven.
It has not been
proven that.
What has not been proven?
The EFCC just did the investigation.
They just did it.
Declared them that.
So what happened to the case? What have you heard? When was the last time you heard about the case?
Maybe they are still searching for evidence against them.
Have you not heard about the fact the justice delayed is justice denied? Have you not heard about it?
They've not seen the evidence to take them to
court. So how long will it take them?
It does not work by emotion.
So that's why I'm saying that they should be part of this failing NDAs that are failing the anti-corruption test. The fact that, so is it that you come out first, make pronouncements, you say the person is guilty, and when you don't even have your evidences. If you don't have your evidence and you're coming out to the public domain to say that so and so individual is found wanting for corruption, does that not show you that it's also a failure on their part?
So.
It's a failure on their part.
They mentioned that most of these agencies does not have whistleblowing policy.
What happened to the existing whistleblowing? Of course, they do not have. We all know how they made a mess of the whistleblowing policy during the time of the late Muhammad Buhari.
Yeah.
Since that administration, have we heard anything about whistleblowing?
Some of them that came out, we read that some of them didn't get the money.
Of course. Even within the whistleblowing policy, it still got corrupted. Because we started hearing about stories and how this one, the whole thing was a total mess.
The person they saw a lot of money from in his house, is he official apartment now?
The Andrew Yakubu?
No, not Andrew Yakubu. Something okay. He's now ambassador right now. Tinubu appointed him as an ambassador. And so what you see is that with the coming of this administration, you just see clearly that is a typical example of how not to run a country. Wow.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to the return of Nigerians from South Africa. Diaspora updates. The repatriation of Nigerians from South Africa. Nigeria has begun evacuating citizens from South Africa following anti-immigration protests and attacks on foreigners. The first flight returns 262 Nigerians to Lagos, while over 1,000 registered for voluntary repatriation. South African authorities maintain many returnees were undocumented, while Nigerian officials cite safety concern and xenophobic threats. 262 Nigerians and 3 officials arrived in Lagos on the first government-organized evacuation flight from South Africa. Do you think that this is good for brotherhood? Being Nigeria having been at the forefront fighting for South Africa in the past.
That was in the past. So the current reality is that South Africans are expressing, themselves. They say, what is xenophobia? That the immigrants are taking over their jobs. Yeah? Maybe they are in the right to say that. But what I do not subscribe to is the use of violence. And I think it's supposed to be the duty of the government of the country, the host country, that's South Africa now, to do that, not citizens taking the laws into their hands. What I'm happy about is the fact that we already started doing the evacuation of our citizens from there.
Those ones that said they're voluntary?
Yeah, because Ghana also did the same. They evacuated their citizens.
But don't you Nigeria also did the same in the past when they say Ghana must go?
Exactly. So that's why I'm taking the position that we cannot, fully blame them, because I think that's the first time any country in Africa did that to its neighbors.
Yes,
Nigeria, Ghana must go.
Yes,
so we were the first. We started it. I may not be able to. I do not have all the information as to the fact that maybe we took the laws into our hands, by going violent against Ghana.
No, I don't know.
So that's the only difference between what is happening in South Africa and maybe what happened in the past in Nigeria. But the good thing here is that the evacuation of Nigerian citizens are on their way, and 200 and something, the figure you posted.
262.
262 are back home safely.
Yes,
that's the way to go. Because I remember the other time the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bianca Ojukwu, was making a statement to the effects of a tit for tat situation, and I did mention that should not be the first thing to do. The first thing to do is to make sure that you evacuate your citizens first, safely home, before you start talking about tit for tat. Because that's exactly what Ghana did. Ghana ensured, John Dramani Mahama of Ghana, the president of Ghana, ensured that over 300 citizens of Ghanaians were brought back home safely before they started talking about the reviewing of the contracts of South African gold licenses in Ghana. Because you know that South Africa owns the largest gold license in Ghana. So It's a good one.
Okay, it's a good one. Before I go to the next question is probably Ghana first did it to Nigeria in 1969. I think during the Biafra War, many Nigerians were in Ghana, and Ghana was saying that Nigerians must go.
Okay, is it that Nigeria did it first to Ghana, or no, Ghana did it first
to Nigeria before in the 1969, 70, and I think I read it somewhere. What was common was that Nigeria did it to Ghana. Okay. But somebody said no,
I never heard it.
Yes, that. Wow. So I read it somewhere.
I have to get more facts on that. This is like a breaking news.
Yes,
I never heard it before.
That they did it. You know, we have. If you look at the growth of Africa, Ghana and Nigeria are like twin brothers. We had just that probably distant francophone countries just separated. I think Ghana is like Benin Republic. Would have been, be like a state to each other. And
what does it even tell you about the whole Pan-African thing, the whole, the whole African brotherhood thing? Is it really what it should be? Because when you see African countries, we are supposed to be African brothers rising up against.
We're supposed to be even a country.
We are supposed to, apart from, the Berlin Conference was what, separated us, and that's why I keep saying that this whole thing about this whole Africa as a whole is a creation of Europe.
Of Europe, and
yes.
You think they are still causing damage to us today?
Because we've allowed them, because yes, it's possible they are still causing damage because we've allowed them by, not being intentional, being deliberate in the kind of leadership we keep producing over the years. Largely, Africa has had, most African presidents or leaders are people who still have this dependency mindsets. They still look up to Europe. They still look up to the aids. They depend. Their policies are, policies from IMF, World Bank. No, they are still.
But Nigeria is still doing as China. We call ourselves giant of Africa. And right now we are shifting towards China.
That's the dependency mindset.
Probably in 50 years from now, China will be controlling our democracy.
China, I believe China is even controlling our democracy because they are controlling the economy. You know how much we are owing China.
Our industry.
In fact, China is controlling almost Africa. Don't forget that. Is it the African Union
Secretariat in Addis Ababa?
It was given by China as donated as a gift.
Yeah, as a gift.
The other time was in 2025 when Shinzo Abe of Japan was still the Prime Minister. He invited African leaders. I think it was the TICAD conference or something of that nature. Japan, the population of Japan is 123 million people, Mr. Ike. And they invited the presidents of African countries
to come over.
Africa has a population of over 1 billion people. And African leaders went there. And they lined up. Shinzo Abe was in their middle and they took a picture. And he handed them something. And they were happy. The president of Nigeria was even there in Nigeria, a country of over 200 million people, being subservient to Japan.
What is surprising to me when I look at some of these leaders, when they go for all those international, they will pack all of them in a bus. In one bus, and they will not drive them into the venue.
And like what happened when they went to the UK, our president went to, and they were driving, they were put on a chariot and a horse, and they were happy about it. They were happy about it.
What should Africans do for us not to experience this kind of a thing? I should be free in Cameroon. I should be free in Ghana. I should be free as Africans. I think Rwanda's saying that you can come into their country without visa as Africans and others. Instead of having this xenophobic, if I'm not comfortable staying in Nigeria, probably as a Nigerian, and I want a cooler kind of, I can say, okay, let me go to Rwanda.
We should be able to, free transit, because you know that the whole of the Schengen country in Europe, they are connected by train.
Yes.
I think it's far more expensive, or it takes a longer route to fly from Nigeria to UK than to some of these African countries. And we're talking about African unity. African unity doesn't even exist in the real sense of the word. So, and I think it's largely has to do with the failure of leadership.
Among these countries, who do you think that can lead this African unity that we are talking about?
Ideally, it's supposed to be Nigeria.
By virtue of
the fact that we have the population.
By virtue of the population.
The population is a strength. Is a strength. If we have the right leadership, the population is supposed to be our strength, because it's supposed to translate into the economy. If you look at, I listened to a speaker once saying that most of the countries, like you talk about China in Asia, right? It has one of the largest, the population, and it controls, it's the largest economy and all that. But Nigeria is the only country in the that has a large population without controlling, without being the largest economy in the continent. I think South Africa is the largest. Yes, and Nigeria is even number 4.
But I think when we rebased, Nigeria actually took over from South Africa, but I don't know.
That was then. We cannot be talking about the past, Mr. Eke. I know at some point Nigeria was number 1. I think, was it during the time of Goodluck Jonathan?
Yes,
but we are talking about the present, because we cannot be living in the past. We live in the present. So, if we have the right leadership, what we should do as Africans, more and more people, the youths, should be more involved in the governance of their country. Be actively involved. That's the only way you can get what you want. So when you interact with people from, citizens from other countries in Europe, they know, the tiniest details about, policies of governments and all that in their country. I'm sorry to say that's not the same in Nigeria, apart from a very small number of people that are knowledgeable about a lot of things. How can you, assuming Nigerians are aware of what's going on in their country, I don't think a 210 trillion naira will be missing in the coffers of the NNPC, and everybody will be sitting idly watching. And more annoying is the fact that the person that has been called, the person that was in charge during that time, has been summoned by the highest lawmaking institution in the country. The National Assembly represents the entire...
No, he said he's going for his medical trip.
Mr. Eke, he has been invited 9 times.
Maybe he's having medical challenges that he needs to do.
They are always having medical challenges when it's time to answer for stewardship. I remember when it was this Cecilia Ebru was always in the in the hospital. And I also saw somebody else fainted during one of those probes. So it's only when they have this.
Sometimes when their names are mentioned, they also actually could develop high BP for them, and probably lead to 1 or 2 underlying ailments, I
wish. I'm happy you're laughing. That laughter is all I need. Thank you very much.
Now, what happened in South Africa now went to the sports.
Okay.
Yesterday, though I didn't watch the match, but I was just following through and understand. And I see that most African countries supported Mexico against South Africa.
Yeah, I saw most Nigerians.
No, it's not only Nigerians.
I know.
I think even Ghana,
people were posting
supporting Mexico against South Africa. Are we losing our brotherhood, or Africans are just against South Africa?
It's a reaction, yeah? I hope you know it's a reaction of what happened. And I don't think it's just maybe for the moment. I just believe that after a while, all these whole things will phase out. Because you cannot imagine the mood when Ghana must go happened. But after a while, we still came back together.
But do you think that, like they say, the internet does not forget?
That's another way.
Because a lot of people will remind them of what actually happened.
The internet,
they will never forget. They will say, okay, so you did to our father this kind of a thing. What surprised me most about what South Africa did is Zimbabwe and Zambia.
These are supposed to even be like Zimbabwe, Zambia and South Africa. I think these were...
I think they were one country. No.
Okay. I think there was Northern and Southern Rhodesia. But these are still South African neighbors now. Because if we look at those who fought for independence, is it Robert Mugabe, Kenneth Kaunda? And these were, more like compatriots during those times. So, I don't know. I just hope that the spirit of African brotherhood.
I'm looking at it that because someone like Thabo Mbeki cannot support that kind of a thing to happen to other African countries, because Thabo Mbeki was actually when the there was so much problem in their country. They flew into Lagos, here in Nigeria, to stay at a point in time. I think that was when they arrested his father and all that. So a Tambo in Becky will not support what South Africans are doing.
Doesn't mean since Ramaphosa is in support
I think his government would have heard one of the officials saying that Nigeria.
Was that an official statement from the government?
But if your minister is saying that, you should be able to sanction. Say, okay, that statement you made is against our African brothers, is against people that are doing one thing or the other.
Anyway, I just feel that maybe they are overwhelmed. They were not expecting it. They never expected it to get to this point. I don't want to hold brief for them, but I think it's something they never expected. Then the way they are reacting to it, I don't think they are really doing enough, because it's not something that happened in one day. If it happened the first time, this is not the first time.
That's where I'm blaming
exactly. Yeah, that's why I think.
Yesterday I watched a video online that says that he's begging Ghanaian president to beg Nigerian president so that they can talk.
I think he's even begging. Why is he going through Ghana president? Can't see? Is he not accessible to
Nigerians are not cooperating with him.
But I believe, I know he has been begging the president of Ghana, mainly because of the gold license. Because we're talking about economy here.
So they don't have anything to benefit from Nigeria. That is why.
They are benefiting a lot. They have a chains of businesses here in Nigeria. You know them. I cannot mention them. But you know them.
Nigerians are not free in their countries. We have big names that have actually gone to South Africa and they ran back because the conditions there are not favorable. One major newspaper left Nigeria, started newspaper over there, did whatever, and the man couldn't sustain it. I have to come back to Nigeria. So when we look at some of these things, I think South Africa is not being fair to other African countries. And I also read somewhere that says that if you want to get the best teachers in South Africa, they are Zimbabweans.
Zimbabwe has a very large population of educated people. So I think
Mugabe was said to be the best,
the most educated president in the world. I don't know about now, but when he was alive, he was the most educated president. So these are people that value education a lot.
Okay, let's round up with entertainment right now. Shakira and Burna Boy perform at the opening.
It was an electrifying performance. I saw it. I saw it. A lot of dance.
You think Nigeria is taking the stage now in terms of entertainment? Since I think Davido too also did.
Davido, I think both Davido and Arasta, the three of them. So Nigeria was fully represented. Yeah, even in terms of entertainment, that's where we're really cutting our teeth. When it comes to entertainment, we're fully represented in a sports event. It's so unfortunate that the Spagos couldn't make it there.
But at a point in time, Nigeria used to be dominant.
Used to be. We should never be living in the past. Well, if we keep referring to the past, that means we're not making progress. We're supposed to remember our past, but if we keep counting our best years in the past, it means we're not making progress, because this is 2 successive World Cups and Nigeria has not qualified. At a time we're having some of the best players in Africa. Talk about the Victor Osimhen, the Ademola Lookman, the Alex Iwobi and co, and we're not represented in Africa in the World Cup. This is the largest World Cup in the history
when it comes
of the
to
world.
Entertainment, we are represented.
We're always represented.
Now, what is the missing link between? I've seen that the government has not been able to penetrate into entertainment. That is why the entertainment is successful. But in terms of sport, government's hands is there. But government hands is not in entertainment. Because if you look at it, and that is where the only industry, or that the youth are in charge, and it's been a success.
So that's why I always say, if we can channel the same energy we use to drive the entertainment economy into politics, we will do better. Because just like you said, it's succeeding because the government has not been able to penetrate it. And we pray they don't penetrate, because any day they penetrate into that industry, the entertainment industry, that is going to, it might not be what it is now.
Politicization.
Of course, you even start hearing about tribalism and religion in entertainment.
The nepotism too. Nepotism
is common. Yes.
My son, my daughter.
So the youth, those in the entertainment industry should guide it you know, they should guard it with everything they have. But my plea is that we should channel the same energy we use into entertainment into politics.
But we've seen some those that were in entertainment that join politics. We've not really heard anything. We've not seen the support they get from their fans to help them out. Apart from Desmond Elliott, we have Kenneth Okonkwo in politics. I think he contested in the last election.
Kenneth Okonkwo never contested. I don't think he contested. He was a spokesman.
He was
a spokesman for P2B, and now he's spokesman for Atiku. And I don't know who else is going to become a spokesman too. But these two examples you cited are not really best of us, because they went there and they've not given they've not covered themselves in glory, and they've not made anybody proud.
Wow. Wow. All right. On this note, that is how we are going to end the press this morning. We virtually talked on everything.
Almost everything. Sports, entertainment. That's the first.
Yes, that is the first on the press.
On the press, yes.
Sports, and probably because of the spirit with the World Cup thing,
yes, exactly.
that we are talking about that. And thank you very much, our viewers, for investing your time watching us on the press this morning. Monday is another day for you to also join us again to see and hear what is happening around Nigeria. Thank you, Emeka Obara, for joining me on the show this morning. It's always interesting and engaging talking to you.
Thank you. My pleasure always.
You know, sometimes when they see people see you, they will say, what is this man is going to say? But by the time he's loaded with a lot of information when it comes to Nigerian politics. Chukwunalu Eke is my name, and on this note, I leave you for now. Join other programs on KAFTAN TV, and also follow us on social media for more updates. Bye for now.